Hello, everyone. You're all very welcome to Underground Cinema. As you know, we're only weeks away from the 15th Underground Cinema Awards, and for the past week and a half now, we've been interviewing as many filmmakers, actors, directors, crew as we possibly can on the run up to this year's awards. So these are all the nominees that we're speaking to. So I'm delighted to say that I've got with me today Baz Woods. Baz has submitted his film Long Term Effects to us. It's an independent feature film, and it's been nominated for Best Independent Feature. You're very welcome, Baz.
Thanks a lot for having me, Dave. It's great to be here, and thanks.
Yeah,
I appreciate the
not at all. You're very welcome. Well, you must be very, not at all. You must be very pleased to receive a Best Independent Feature Film nod, and this is your first feature film.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, it was a great surprise to me when I seen the nomination, and I was chuffed, and I still am chuffed, and it means a lot to me, and it means a lot to us all that involved in the movie actually to receive the nomination. And in a way, it's a nod to, it's an acknowledgement that we actually did a movie and we pulled it off, you know. So it means a lot. It means a lot to me personally, and it means a lot to all the cast and crew as well involved.
Absolutely, Baz. Look, when you go through the cast and the crew of this, I'm very nosy. I when I'm watching a film, I watch it from start to finish, right to the dot. So, I'll go through all the credits at the end. And, it's a who's who of actors and crew members within the indie scene that are working tirelessly for years in the independent scene. And they did a really fantastic job in this. Baz, maybe what we could do is maybe you could just tell us a little bit what this feature film is all about. Maybe a synopsis on it.
Okay, well, it's basically three stories kind of mixed together. First story is about Mike. He's a computer programmer, and he's committed to developing a computer software called Andromeda, which is like an online psychotherapy program. And he's having problems in the workplace and whatnot, and he's behind time with the schedule of the program. And he's having all sorts of issues outside of work as well with personal relationships. So we pick up where he meets a girl called Abby, who was the other story, her story in the film. And Abby is here. She's been in a long-term relationship with Mike online, and he invites her to Ireland for the first time. And basically her story is intertwined with his story, how her relationship develops with Mike, who is in love with a computer program as such.
Yeah.
And the third story is about Phil, and he is a small-time moneylender, and he's going through the loss of his wife. And we follow him through that process, and he invests in Andromeda, whereby things don't go too well for him as such.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like three stories intertwined together, and it kind of has a connection along the way.
Yeah.
It would be difficult for me to explain it all in one go.
I know. Well, I know, exactly. But I tell you what, Baz, we have the trailer here, so maybe we'll just stick on the trailer and just give everyone a little feel of long-term effects. Just hang on, and we'll stick it on now.
Brilliant.
Are you still with him when you close your eyes? Still planting the tree?
Stop it.
A lonely little boy, forever lost in the
Stop it.
moment. Daddy's good little boy.
That's enough.
Now, what a very slick trailer there, Baz. Fantastic.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, yeah. Um, there's a lot to be said for a trailer.
Yeah, yeah. Listen, you've got
There's
so this is so as the trailer goes by there. This is the cast that you've got. You got Tom Piggott, who's a fantastic actor. Jerry O'Brien, who's been around since time began. Donna Anita Nicolaisen, who I've worked with before. I've directed her in The Crucible, the stage show, and plus she's won a Best Actress award with us at Underground Cinema. Dave Duffy, another great friend of mine. George Bracebridge, brilliant friend of mine. It goes on and on and on. You got Flora, Tanya, Nathan, Frida King's a great friend of Underground Cinema. What a great cast to put together. Can you just tell me, maybe, Baz, how did you get such a really good team together?
I'll be honest with you. When I started making the movie a long time ago, I didn't know any actors at all, and I knew no actors personally. So that was in itself was a big thing to overcome and to get through. And one thing led to the other. So we did an auditions for the film. I think it was around 2014 in the Irish Film Centre, and we put an ad on, I think it was Star Now or something, looking for actors and crew. And we got a couple of replies, one of which was actually Tom, and we were lucky actually, and among others, Fleur, Tom, and one or two others, but not everybody from Star Now. So we did some auditions in the Irish Film Centre in 2014, and we did I filmed the auditions, and from that came Tom, and I think Flora was auditioned before Tom. She came out to my house and I auditioned her, and she did the monologue at the end. I gave her the monologue to do because I thought if she could pull that off, she'd manage the rest, and she did it. She knocked it out of the ballpark. So I said, you have the part. So Flora was the first on board, and then it was Tom, and it kind of went from there. I think I reached out to people on social media, the likes of Dave, my producer John O'Rourke. He knew Jerry O'Brien personally. He'd known him for a while. We reached out to Jerry and Dave, mainly online, and just connected. Donna, I found her online. I found her website and reached out to her. And actors they're really enthusiastic to help out and to get involved, and they're just eager to get going. And I explained what the story was, and I showed them the script, and there was no problem. When can we do it? So a lot of the actors that you would say would have a bigger profile, let's put it like that, the likes of Dave and Jerry and Tanya are not Tanya. Jerry, Dave, and sorry, I have my list here.
Donna Nicolaisen, yeah.
Donna, yeah, sorry, just got a bit confused there.
No.
And Frida, they came in at later stages as the film was being made, and they were happy to help out for an odd day here and there, and it was very very accommodating, and they just wanted to get involved, and as well as that, for me personally, as a director, it was good for me as well because I learned a lot from having them around and that.
Yeah, you're dealing with a cast there that are very experienced, especially the likes of Jerry O'Brien and Dave Duffy, who they know the game inside out. They've all been around a long time. They know their marks. They know what it's like to work in a set, which hopefully helps you as a first time director. I mean, you're relatively late going into the game, but 47 going into the game.
True. Yeah, just on that note, you haven't people like Jerry and Dave and Donna and Frida and one or two others around, it was very enlightening for me. It kind of, in a way, it made the process very, very easy. The filming process very easy because they're well on their game. They're well ahead of you in many ways, you know.
Yeah.
And for me, it was like, I wish it was always this easy, you know. So they were well ahead of me in a lot of respects. So I learned a lot from them, and I had great respect for them all. But equally, even though I was first-time director and I'd never made a movie before, they had a great amount of interest in what I was doing, and they had a great respect for what I had to bring to the table. So it was very mutual in a lot of ways. So yeah, so it was a great process in having them. But I will say, having the actors that would have been first-time filmmakers involved in film first time was incredible. And we were fortunate enough to get some really, really talented actors and people who were quite up to the task. So all in all, I suppose you could say, cast-wise, we were very fortunate.
Very good. Now you you collaborated with John O'Rourke on the script on this.
Yeah, John is we're a long time, we're cousins actually, and we grew up together. And we since we were kids, we wanted to make a movie, and you know, when we used to pretend making movies when we were kids and whatnot with Super 8 cameras and whatever we could get our hands on. And you grow up and life takes you on other journeys along the way. And at the age of 40, I suppose, I got back into it, if you want to say, and kind of got the courage to do something about it and to follow a personal dream that I always had. And I suppose I started off getting back into doing editing, and that was, I suppose, in 2002, 2003, a lot of editing software became accessible to people at home on computers, on iMacs and stuff like that. And that was the first port of call, just editing little things at home and experimenting with editing softwares and whatnot. And then later on, I did a couple of experimental movies for myself. And then I got involved with some people that were interested in me doing cinematography for their shorts, and did a couple of shorts. But I always wanted to try my hand at directing. So I was editing, I was doing cinematography, and yeah, and then
you do everything.
the directing. Yeah, bar make the tea and whatnot. So I was kind of do everything, and in a way, at an indie level where you're just starting off, you kind of have to be prepared to do everything, because sometimes it comes to that.
Did you find that?
Sorry,
sorry to cut across you, Baz. I was just wondering, did you find that a challenge, because you had so many jobs to do? So you're writing, you're directing, you're producing, you're cinematography, you're in the edit. It's a lot. Did you find that a challenge?
Yeah, it was necessary at the time just to get the film done. It is what it is, and transpired that way. But yeah, I directed the movie. I did all the cinematography. I did the lighting on it. I did all the camera work on it. I did all the editing on it. It was crazy, to be honest with you. It's a crazy way to make a movie. I wouldn't advise it for anybody who wants to make a movie starting out. It's not advisable, but it's my story, and it helped. It got us across the line. Doing it again, I don't know. I think you need to just, as a director, concentrate on the directing. Let somebody else work at the lighting. Let somebody else work at the cameras. have control over stuff, but get on with the directing. I think
Yeah,
that's
look,
the most important thing.
you know, we've seen a lot of feature films over the years. I'm going to mention one in particular who I think is a fantastic, a super independent feature filmmaker. He sent his work into us a number of years back. His name is Patrick McKnight. He started sending short films into us a good few years ago. He's picked up Underground Cinema Awards from us as well. And when I saw those shorts coming into us, the production values were very, very high. So I knew Pat, you know, he the level that he wanted to be, you know, he wanted to be at, he wanted to be recognized at. His first feature film was a brilliant feature film called The Irish Mob. In fact, George Bracebridge was actually in that particular film. But Pat had to do very similar to what you did. He had to direct. It was cinematography. The edit was a nightmare for him. It was so difficult for him. But the thing is, it's like what you said, Baz. It is what it is. He did it to get it across the line. He got his feature film made, and it looks really well. And that's what you did as well. Now, Pat would say the same thing as you're saying now. The next feature film, that's if he ever does one again. He said that afterwards, I chatted to him. He said, "Will you do it again, Pat?" I don't think he was too keen, but recently I've been talking to him, and he said, you know, I think there would definitely be one on the cards, but he would be looking for, you know, a crew of people that can shoulder the burden, so to speak. And I think that's what you're saying as well, Baz.
Yeah, definitely. If I'm like himself, if you ever get around to getting one off the ground again, which hopefully it will happen, because it is at this level, it's quite a challenge. The whole process is very challenging to get anything going at all. Yeah, you definitely need a designated camera guy or cinematographer, somebody that's a dab hand at lighting. When you're filming, if you're using traditional filming techniques, lighting techniques, which we did, like everything's in camera, everything's lit in camera. I wouldn't be depending on doing things in post for stuff like that. You get it right on the day as much as you can. Lighting, if you don't know what you're doing, it can take up an awful lot of time on a set, and time is valuable. You're against the time all the time. Once you go out there, the clock is ticking, and depending on the scene, daytime light is ticking as well, and people want to get on with it. So definitely somebody designated for lighting and perhaps camera work. Cinematography. So in a way, cinematography and lighting, that would be helpful. And a runner as well, somebody to set up the next shot while you're filming the one you're on at the moment. So somebody's a little bit ahead of you.
There's so many challenges, you know, for that it's unbelievable, really. But look, you've dipped your toe into the world of feature filmmaking. But not only that, what you've done is you've given yourself a challenge with this particular script, because this script tackles themes of mental health, technology, crime, which is very unique for a debut feature. Well, can you tell us where did the story formulate? Where did you come up with the idea of it?
Well, I mean, I suppose like with any story, I mean, with any writer, I suppose you take experiences from life. In my case, I worked as a carer since I was 21 in various hospitals around Dublin, and still do that job, by the way. That's my day job. So I've been working as a healthcare assistant for I suppose the last 30 years, maybe. So I've been in environments in mental health environments, on hospital wards, and working with people in those positions. It does kind of rub off in a way if you're going to write, and you're going to use some of your experiences to writing what you kind of feel you know about, and perhaps dilute and pepper them with a little bit of drama, maybe, and that's where the concepts came from. And I suppose subconsciously you're influenced by other movies that you've kind of taken a shine to along the way over the years. The script, it it just naturally came, and just naturally formulated when we were writing it. Just one thing led to another, just felt right. It was revised maybe once or twice, but generally we kind of got what we wanted first time around. And you look at a script and say, "Oh God, how is this going to go down with an audience? Or will anybody understand what I'm trying to do here? Or does it make any sense?"
Yeah,
And you kind of think to yourself, well, you got to go for it. You've got to take ownership of it and say, you know what, I'm going with this. Let's do it.
You know what? I think you've touched on something that's really interesting, because AI and virtual therapy is becoming more and more common. And I think it was interesting that you wrapped it around, those three different storylines as well. It was excellent. I think you did a great job on it.
Thanks very much, Dave. Appreciate that. It's always, I suppose, the scary part is when you do a film. I suppose that down in Hollywood they probably call it high concept. I don't know if they still call it that now. But when you do a film like that, you're kind of always kind of thinking, "Oh, I hope people get it." But on the other side, you got to go with your instincts. You got to, I suppose, you've got to take it. You got to step out of your comfort zone a little bit and just go with it. And that's what I've done with long-term effects. And you take accountability and you take ownership of the material, and you've got to be prepared to stand by it as a filmmaker. And that's what it boils down
absolutely.
to.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah, sorry, Dave.
Yeah. There was just one other thing I was going to say to you as well, what you thought was great. Your trailer is super there. I noticed that you got Noel Brady involved in that trailer. Noel goes back a long time with underground cinema. In fact, Noel's very first short film, Duality, was the very first short film we ever screened at underground cinema 15 years ago. I see you got Noel involved.
Yeah. Noel was involved in. He came in once in post, and he was involved in the some of the sound design, and I got to know Noel through I think it's Frida King, who plays a part in the movie, and I was looking for somebody to help with the sound design, and it was cool. I'd say it's probably about 2 years ago now, and Frida put me in contact with Noel, and I just reached out and had a call with him. And he said, "Yeah, I'll come over," and we just did it. You get on with it. Yeah, so he was involved on the sound design for the movie, basically.
The film just, certainly what I've read about it, it feels that this film is a long time in production, Baz. It's a labor of love, I would imagine.
Yeah, it was a long time in production, and too long, to be honest with you. I think we started filming in 2015, and we wrapped it up officially in 2021. So it was a long time, and there's various reasons for that. Some of the reasons would be the age-old problem of finances, and some personal reasons as well. And sometimes you kind of go through a process of wondering if you could ever finish it, and wondering, will I just give up? I know situations where it's not our situation with long-term effects. It's not unique, because I know it happens a lot to filmmakers. They go through that process, and the same old story, the same story, and they cut it down, make it into a short or whatever, and just send it out as a short. But I probably was tempted a few times to do that, but I stuck to it and just said, look, if I don't get this done, this was my feelings on it. If I don't get this feature done, I'll never do it again. I need to do it for me. And
Yeah.
somebody said, well, what about go back and just cut it down to a short and it'd be grand and all this. And I said, I don't want to do a short. I want to do a feature. I mean, they're two different things to me anyway. They're two different, they're two different things, shorts and features. They're different. They're totally different ball game. In my opinion, I know people you can learn a lot from making shorts. I get that, but it doesn't necessarily mean it equips you for making a feature. In my opinion,
they're two different animals altogether.
That's what I wanted to say. They're two different animals altogether, and I just wanted to do a feature. I was adamant about that. I thought I had a feature in me, and I wanted to do it, and we got it over the line anyway.
We got it over the line. Like I think. Look, I've seen a lot of features over the years. So some of them, I did a feature. It took us 18 days to shoot. I know other features that took 6 years to shoot. I can mention, because I'm sure he has no problem with me talking about it. One of the first features we ever screened was a feature film called Three Crosses. It was directed by Jason Figgis. The title was changed a few years later by the distributors to Once Upon a Time in Dublin. But it did take an awful long time for Jason to get that film over the line. And there are a multitude of reasons why. Finance is number one. Working around people's schedules is number two when they're given their time. And then on top of that, you had the added bonus of COVID thrown in there as well. And
the COVID, that was another thing. That's another thing I'd totally forgotten about, is the COVID.
Yeah, so it slows you down. But the main thing is, Baz, and the other thing is there's no need to rush a film. If you seem to be a guy that has this vision for your feature film in your head, and you want to get it right, and you're right not to be raced in it until you feel it's actually ready to present to your audience.
Yeah, and that's exactly it, because you're putting something out there that's a big part of yourself. It's a big part of who you are to a certain extent, and who you were at that time, and it reflects in probably the story you tell and the techniques that you use to tell that story, and that's where you were at the time, and you develop or move on from that, hopefully. But it's about sticking with it and doing the best you can with the resources you have, and being realistic about what you want to achieve and how you can achieve it. And when you're done with it, and knowing that when you're done, and you've just got to put it down and move on. There's a trick to that as well, but you kind of will know after 5 or 6 years. You'll know. Well, I think I really have to wrap it up here.
That's really interesting you say that, Baz, because are you saying that you're happy with the finished the film is finished, you're happy with the final product, and you can move on?
Well, that's a difficult one. I suppose, like, I don't know about other directors. I know that I think the likes of, I think it was Hitchcock or somebody, who said he only ever gets 70% of what he wanted in his head on the screen.
Yeah.
And I know where he's coming from, because when you're done with it, in my case, in my experience, when we're finished the movie, and you have a little time to take a back seat, and you let it go for a while, and you watch it again. Of course, you have to be happy in the knowledge that you've given it your best shot. You must be. You nothing to regret if you know that that's where you were at the time, and you've done your best. Yeah. But there's another element to it that would say, oh God, there's a missed opportunity there. Oh my God, why didn't I? There's always, you always see the stuff that's you missed opportunities, that you see avenues that you could have kind of,
Yeah,
yeah. But you've got to say, well, 2020 vision and hindsight, it's all grand when you're looking at it on the screen. Everybody's a director, you know. We were all directors when we're watching movies, you know. But when you actually have to direct and make one, it's a different, it's a different situation. But
yeah,
I will say, you do have to, before the process starts, you have to have a vision, and you have to have this. You have to have a pretty clear vision of what you want to do, and then come to terms with what you can do as opposed to
yeah,
what you want to do. You have to compromise. So making a movie at an indie level, at least from my experience, is a total compromise, because things happen. Things
yeah,
don't work
yeah,
out.
yeah,
You can't do things that you thought you could. On the day something happens, somebody's late or whatever, somebody can't show up, or you've got to, it's constantly evolving. You've got to be able to adapt, and you've got to be able to say, you know what, you got a better idea, yeah, we'll do it like that, you know, we'll do it
yeah,
like that. You've got, it's very much collaboration, and you've got to be always open to collaborating, because that it's the collaboration that gets you through. But at the same time, as from a director point of view, from a director's point of view, you've got to remain. You've got to be. You've got to keep that vision always. You've got to steer the ship to where you want it to go ultimately. Otherwise, it could go anywhere, and that's not what. In my case, that's not what it's all about. It's your movie, so you're going to be
yeah,
the one to be accountable for it at the end of the day. So you want to make it your movie. If you have to own up for it, at least you're owning up for something you did, not
yeah.
for what
But
somebody else impressed upon you.
yeah, you're a realist, Tom. That or Baz, that's what you are. You're a realist, you know.
Yeah,
And
you've got Dave, you've got to keep it real. You know, when you're writing this, like when we started off writing, I was always dabbling with scripts even before I started, you know, taking the whole idea of making a movie seriously. I was always writing and dabbling with scripts and whatnot. But when myself and John first started out to write a script, we said we wanted to make a movie, and we said we write a script. We wrote a script in about 2 months. And when we'd written the script, we realized that it was quite a good script. We realized that, you know, we can't film this. It's going to be too technical. This is a Hollywood type stuff that we've written, you know. It's good, but we just don't have we don't have the ability to do that right now for all sorts of reasons. So I suppose it's a common mistake to write a script that you think is great, but you can't pull it off because of your resources, the limitations on what you can do yourself. So we went back to the drawing board and we came up with something that we thought we could do, that was manageable, that we could film, and it turned out to be long-term effects. So my point is that I suppose in writing a script, you need to keep it real. Like you said, it needs to be kept real and grounded. If it's, no matter what genre it is, you've got to be able to film it. There's no point in writing something that's great and you can't film, or you can film but it's going to look terrible. You know.
so I get the sense. I get the sense that you. I can imagine when you finished the film, there was a sense of relief getting it over the line, and I wonder, did you feel, "Well, I'd never want to go through that again," or did you feel, what's next? Were you ready to go again, or did you need that break afterwards? I can certainly tell you, after my first feature, I felt I needed a break afterwards, because it's exhausting. There's a lot of work that goes into it, you know. But you know, it took me a while to sort of come around to ever doing something again, you know.
Yeah, it is draining. It's draining getting it done. Yeah, I felt that way. I felt like, oh, thank God I'm done with that. There was a certain element of that. But like at the indie level, you've made a movie, and then you're there and you say, okay, I got this movie, and now it has to have another life. And what am I going to do now? You know, like it's finished, but you need to get it. You need to breathe life into it and get it, find an audience and whatnot. So you're faced with a whole multitude of different tasks with the same project. It's not like you're done with it. It's not like, I suppose, then if you're down in Hollywood, you're director, yeah, you're done with that. Somebody else is going to take care of it, getting it out there to the audiences. You know, it's not like that. It's like you've made a movie and now you've got to do something with it. So you're never really done with it. You know, you can never walk away from it. It's always a work in progress, even if it's made. It's a work in progress. So it does give you the finishing a feature. It does give you the instinctive to want to go and do another one, but it also grounds you in the reality of what it's going to take to do that. Yeah. Because when we first started off making long-term effects, we had no idea how difficult the process is. We had an idea. We knew we're big film fans. Myself and John. I mean, of course, we had an idea it was going to be tough, but we didn't realize of how tough it was going to be.
Yeah. So have you got something in mind then?
Yeah. Well, we have nothing up and running at the moment. We have a couple of. Of course, yeah. You're always writing. You always have ideas. You're always trying to find an avenue to get something going again. So we have a couple of scripts kind of half baked on the go, but nothing pinned down as such. And I suppose going forward and getting another feature done would definitely, taken from what we've learned from the long-term effects experience, we definitely need to be more prepared going forward, i.e. we need financing, and that would be the main issue with getting a movie done. If you're going to make a movie, make sure you can afford to make when you've got the finances down. Somebody said, make sure you've got the finances, you've got the money, and make sure it's somebody else's money. I don't know who said that, but somebody said, but seriously, you need to be able to afford to do it, because filmmaking is an expensive art form. It is expensive filming. It can be. It doesn't have to be crazy expensive, but it all adds up. Like, you know, there's nothing for nothing, you know. And to do it well, it takes a little bit of time and a lot of input. Yeah. So going forward, yeah, I would love to do one, but it's a matter of putting a package together and being able to finance the film. That's something you hear about that all the time, but you really understand it when you've done a film. It really makes a lot of sense, you know. So finance and a script that's doable with the resources that you have is the key. And finances are always an issue in filmmaking at this level, anyway.
Well, Baz, you should feel incredibly proud for getting your first feature over the line, and so too with a tremendous crew. You should be delighted with your nomination for best independent feature. There's 5 there, which is fantastic. And me and the team at Underground Cinema wish you the very best of luck in your next endeavor. Hopefully, we'll see it again soon in the near future on the big screen.
Well, Dave, just on behalf of myself and my producer, John, I'd like to thank the Underground team for letting us be part of this year's event. I know it's got a great relevance in filmmaking in and around Dublin and Ireland, and it's a very prestigious event. So I know people that have been involved in it before in getting their films into it, and I was delighted when I heard that we were going to be involved. It was really a great honor. It is a great honor. So thank you, and thank all of your team for making us a part of it. And thanks for giving me a chance to talk about my experience in filmmaking. It's really
fantastic.
nice.
You're very, very, very welcome. That's what we're there for at Underground Cinemas, the showcase, the tremendous work that's going on in the Irish and the international indie scene. So, Baz, thanks a million, and we look forward to seeing you in November.
I'll be there. No problem. See you there. Thanks.
Take care.
Take care.